Kvaratskhelia.
Oh, he's gone all the way! What a goal!
Doué.
Special goal from a very special young talent.
Dembele.
Dembele. Is this the moment? It is! Absolutely sensational!
Vitinha.
I'm sorry, Vitinha plays a different sport. It's not the same football you know when you control the tempo and the rhythm of the game?
In the heart of Paris, under the famous lights of the Parc des Princes, something special is happening. Paris Saint-Germain, a club once known for big-name stars and individual talent, is going through a massive change. Under Luis Enrique, they have been transformed into a proper team. When you look on the pitch, it's no longer 11 individuals who join for high wages and nice croissants. It's a team. Instead of relying on superstars to do everything, they now play with unity, energy, and a hunger to win. So how did PSG go from losing their best player,
I think without Mbappé, PSG wouldn't have a chance of winning the Champions League this season,
to becoming one of the most exciting teams in Europe?
The future is really bright for Paris Saint-Germain. They have so much qualities.
When you see this attacking talent they have, when you see how tidy they are in the middle of the park, but when you see how they control games in the middle of the park.
It doesn't care about how old you are. It doesn't care about what you have done also somewhere. It's about what you're doing.
This PSG side is super talented, but young players with super high potential were not the type of players that the Parisiens used to go for. PSG used to be a club all about superstar. The bigger the name, the better. Ever since the financial takeover in the early 2010s, that had become the goal. Moving like Kim Kardashian, trying to see how many stars they could take advantage of. The Qatari Sports Investment Group wanted to make PSG into not just a top club, but a huge brand. At first, it started by them ransacking the Serie A for talent. They signed Pastore, Zlatan, Thiago Silva, Lavezzi, Cavani. These guys were all huge stars in Italy at the time. The results were immediate, at least domestically. PSG destroyed Ligue 1, winning league titles and cups for fun. They literally bent the league over and spanked them. Sorry for being graphic. In total, PSG won 27 domestic trophies in the decade after the Qatari takeover, establishing an era of French dominance that we hadn't seen. It was a meteoric rise, given that PSG had only won 2 league titles before that financial takeover. In fact, during the 2007-2008 season, they barely avoided relegation on the final day. Fast forward and they own the French league now. Now this influx of talent really boosted PSG's finances and their global profile. They were now actually becoming a worldwide brand and were being talked about. They got bigger sponsors like Fly Emirates, then later Air Jordan. They got so big that they were able to spend a world record fee on Neymar. This transfer destroyed the market. We still haven't seen a team break this fee yet. Neymar, at the top of his powers, at his peak, decided to leave Messi, the best player in the world, and Barca, the biggest club in the world at the time, to join the Parisiens. Soon after, Donatello, aka Kylian Mbappé, joined the team for 180 million euros. PSG was now among the Europe's elite, the home of the 2 most expensive players ever, Donatello and the Sister Shagger. Once again, on the domestic side, the investments were paying off. Ligue 1 had turned into a farmers league, because before, Lyon would win some titles, Lille won in 2011, Marseille were good, but now pretty much every single year, it was PSG. It almost became a minimum requirement to complete domestic trebles and double. They were just head and shoulders better than everyone else because they had so much more money, and as a result, they had so much more talent. However, they could not succeed in Europe. Season after season, the Parisien super team fell short of the ultimate prize. They suffered some agonizing exits in the knockout rounds. They failed so bad that they began to have a reputation for choking under pressure. Think about it, there was the remontada against Barca, the loss to Ole's United. I mean, that loss was so bad, you had people saying that Rashford was as good, if not better than Mbappé. All those Ligue 1 titles meant nothing when the star-studded club couldn't get European glory. They got closer in 2020, finally reaching the finals, but they ended up losing to Bayern Munich. Slight tangent here, but Donatello was the reason that PSG lost this game, and it actually hurt Neymar's legacy more than anyone else. Neymar was a freak that season. He was unreal in the final, but Mbappé couldn't hit the side of a barn door. Anyways, the club had the talent, funding, and global stature of a super club, but still needed to prove themselves on the biggest stage. So what does PSG do when they have a problem? Bring in more stars. In August of 2021, PSG made global headlines by signing the GOAT, Lionel Messi, another Galactico signing. Everyone was hyped to see this new era of PSG, but the reality reality proved to be more complicated. You see, PSG did end up winning the Ligue title, something that they had actually missed out on in the previous season. Yes, that's when you know the situation was bad, when they weren't even winning domestic titles. But the major problem was locker room chemistry. Something, by the way, that was a problem way before Messi had even arrived. PSG's collection of superstars came with big egos and clashing personalities. Their team's playing style at times looked disjointed. Pochettino really struggled to get the star trio to function together well. Then, reports of tension soon emerged. One time, Mbappé and Neymar were openly arguing about who takes over pens. In one match, Mbappé shot the ball instead of passing it to a wide open Neymar. The star trio just never really clicked. In both seasons that Messi was there, PSG were knocked out in the Champions League round of 16. Now, they did end up losing to good teams in the round of 16. In 2022, they lost to a Real Madrid team that ended up winning the whole thing. In 2023, they lost against a good Bayern side. But the context didn't matter. When you have three mega superstars like that, people expect you to go further, in fact to win the whole thing. It especially didn't look good because they completely collapsed against Real Madrid in 2022, throwing away a 2-goal lead in a shocking 15-minute meltdown. The problem was that they had good individuals, but they weren't a team. Messi to Mbappé and Inshallah worked in the league, but not against Europe's best teams. PSG always ended up in something like a 7-0-3 formation when they lost possession. There was no connecting piece between the defense and the attack. It was just give it to Messi or give it to Mbappé and pray. Mbappé was even public about the fact that the team had shortcomings that they couldn't hide. So when Luis Enrique was appointed as the PSG manager in July of 2023, it was a signal for a fresh direction for the club. Neymar was in Saudi Arabia, Messi in Burger King League. The two South Americans could no longer be scapegoated. Enrique's job was simple: build a team focused on PSG and move away from the Galacticos era that had dominated Paris in the last 10 years. Immediately though, the Spaniard had a problem on his hands. Mbappé had informed the club that he would not extend his contract beyond 2024. It was an issue. PSG was about to lose their biggest star on a free transfer. For a new coach like Enrique, this was baptism by fire. He had to prepare a team without the club's top scorer and navigate constant media speculation about Mbappé going to Real Madrid. But he handled the Mbappé saga very well, and he focused on the collective unit. Tactically, he was already shifting PSG away from being dependent on the French superstar. He implemented a high-pressing, possession-based system very reminiscent of his Barcelona days, aiming for the team to attack and defend as a unit. Early on, it was evident that PSG was playing way more as a team. They were pressing in packs, dominating possession through the midfield, and actually making runs off the ball. It was a great sight to see because during Messi's time, well, PSG just didn't even have a midfield. They often relied on moments of brilliance from either Neymar or Messi or Mbappé. But now there was an emphasis on actual structure and teamwork. Enrique also wasn't afraid of letting Mbappé know that he wasn't doing enough.
Yo te he leído que te gustaba Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan cogía de los huevos a todos sus compañeros y se ponía a defender como un hijo de puta. Tú tienes que dar ese ejemplo primero como persona y como jugador. De ir a presionar, vas a tener a Cubarsí, vas a ser tú.
He was giving PSG something that it often lacked: an identifiable style of play and an actual collective spirit among everyone. The shift in identity was now being seen in the recruitment as well. No more unk status players, but rather young, hungry talents that were willing to buy into the manager's system. They brought in Ousmane Dembele, João Neves, Doué, Kvaratskhelia. It wasn't like the transfer window where they signed Messi and Ramos, but this new side was a fighting unit. No more mercenaries coming to the club. Enrique really made sure that the players understood the concept of team over individuals. For example, you see Dembele playing well and actually pressing now, but at one point in the season he was dropped by Enrique. When PSG went to London to play Arsenal, Dembele was literally not even named in the squad. Keep in mind, he was playing well then too. Fast forward and Dembele is not only one of the best players on PSG, he's one of the best players in the world. The team now is so tactically fluid. They don't play with a natural number 9, but rather 3 wingers that all rotate. Kvara, Barcola, Dembele all interchange during the match. They will start with Dembele up front as the false 9, but at some stage you will see him on the wing, then Kvara up front and Barcola on the opposite wing. Then in the midfield, they don't have a natural holding midfielder. They got these 2 pit bulls in João Neves and Vitinha. You guys remember Marco Verratti? Yeah, imagine him being duplicated in a Portuguese factory. By the way, another tangent, but PSG buying Verratti was a very good decision at the time. He was a young, hungry talent, the perfect type of player to get, but for some reason they stopped making those purchases and moved on to bigger names. Anyways, Vitinha and João Neves are not just technically phenomenal, they also run for days. That's the beauty of the squad now. No egos. Everyone presses, everyone runs for each other. Then next to the 2 Portuguese minions, you have Fabian Ruiz. The Spaniard is incredibly underrated. He was even better than Rodri at the Euros, but nobody talks about it. Then on the bench, talent for days. You got Neymar's regen in Doué, a silky winger who gets to come in and destroy defenses that are already tired from dealing with Dembele and Kvara. The midfield is tired? No problem. They can bring on Zaire Emery to run the show. I also want to give a shout out to PSG's fullbacks. Hakimi and Nuno Mendes have been amazing. Perfect modern day fullbacks. They're excellent going forward and great defensively. Great athletes, but also very good on the ball. I mean, Nuno Mendes was so calm in front of goal against Aston Villa that from the TV broadcast angle, I thought that was Dembele. And Hakimi has quietly been one of, if not the best right back in the world for a few years now. But now the rest of the world is seeing just how good he is. PSG's journey over the last decade has been a roller coaster of dominance, ambition, but also frustration. From their rise after the Qatari takeover, signing superstars like Zlatan and Neymar, to their struggles with egos and Champions League heartbreak, PSG has seen it all. The Messi era really exposed the flaws in building a team around individual brilliance rather than a collective system. But now, under Luis Enrique, PSG seems to finally be evolving into a true football team, one that prioritizes unity, structure, not flashy signings. Whether this transformation will finally deliver Champions League glory remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, PSG is no longer just a club chasing superstars, they're building something bigger. Now, just because they're not chasing superstars doesn't mean they're not signing absolute beasts. To see how good their new signing, Kvaratskhelia, is, you gotta check out this video right here.